Before I get into that, man, I actually haven't taught a ton recently. Does anybody remember the last time that I taught on a Wednesday night? Yeah, it was like January, so there was like a long period of time where I didn't teach. Can we just give it up for Alex and Pastor Austin for teaching us well? Yeah, absolutely. So it has been a while, but there are a lot of things about ministry. You guys know that I do this as a job. Like your parents wake up, they go places to work as a job. This is what I get to do for a job. And there are a lot of things about youth ministry that I love. How many of you guys are here Monday for our middle school hangout? How many? Yeah, I love doing that. I loved hanging out with you guys, schooling all of you in King of the Hill and Knockout and every other basketball game. I was just on fire. Today, I couldn't make a bucket for anything. But I enjoy a lot of aspects about youth ministry. But one of the things that I really like, and it's what this series is all about, is something that's kind of sprinkled around everything that we do. And it's this idea of influence. Everybody say influence. Yeah. So we're going to go through a series called Influencers, all right? Can somebody tell me what is an influencer? What is that? What is an influencer? Somebody tell me. What is an influencer? Someone who motivates you to do something. I like that. Who else? What else? How would you describe an influencer? What would you say? In the back? Yeah? Yeah, never give up. Yeah, for sure. James Charles, yeah. And all right, so what else would you call an influencer? Yeah? An impact on your life? How do you know if somebody's an influencer or not? On Instagram, how do you know if somebody's an influencer? They got the blue check mark. Right? How many followers does it take to get the blue check mark? How many? I got the blue. No, I'm just kidding. How many followers is there? How many do you think? What's a good standard, all right? 1 million followers gets you a blue check mark. I think it's actually like 30,000 gets you the blue check mark. But, all right, so 1 million followers, that puts you on influencer status. Somebody who influences culture. I found out recently that skinny jeans are no longer the in thing. Did any of you guys hear this? Gen Z has determined that skinny jeans are out and these ugly, nasty-looking fat leg jeans are in, all right? I can't stand them. I'm millennial by heart, all right? I don't get it. I don't even wear skinny jeans, but I hate it for all of you who do wear skinny jeans because now you're going to be unpopular, all right? They could be wrong. You know, trends change. All right, so people who influence society, people who motivate us to do something, people who encourage us, people who give us ideas, right? Those are people we call influencers. What if I told you that God has created His children, Christians, to be people of influence, to be people who initiate change in their world, to be people who convince people, to compel people of truth? I think that God has called us to do that, to be people of influence. When we read the Great Commission, the thing that Jesus told His disciples and ultimately us to do, He says, go out, teach people about me, baptize them, do all the things that I have done to you to them. And Jesus was an influencer to His disciples, and He commanded them to go and do the same thing. Now, He might not have called us all to have a blue check mark or 1 million followers or to be people who stand on a stage or to be people in some period of influence or leadership. But He has called us all to influence people in some way in your realm of just who you are around and the people that you have the ability to influence. I think He's called us all to do that. And so tonight, for a few weeks, and tonight we're going to start it, I want to challenge you to kind of embrace a lifestyle of influence. Is that something you want to do? No. All right, I'm see you guys later. All right, no, is that something you want to do? You want to embrace a lifestyle of influence, to be somebody that God has called you to be. You guys want to do that? All right, there's 3 of you. I'll do this for 3 of you, okay? All right, so that is what I want to challenge us to do for the next few weeks. All right, here's the reality, though. Before we can figure out how we influence other people, we have to first figure out what is it that influences us. What are those things that motivate us to do the things that we do, that make us think the way that we think? What is it that influences us? I want you to think about it this way. You guys know that I am a huge fan of a few things. One of them is Volkswagens, all right? The other one is the greatest chicken establishment in the world, the Lord's Chicken, all right? Chick-fil-A. If you say Cane's, you can walk out of here and go cry, all right? Chick-fil-A, all right? You guys know that I'm a huge fan of Chick-fil-A. Now, Chick-fil-A doesn't need my help. They are already, true fact, the greatest chicken establishment. They don't need me to promote them, but I love Chick-fil-A. I spend my money there. If they were a publicly owned company, I would own stock in Chick-fil-A. I love Chick-fil-A. My kids, when I say, where do you want to go to eat? They say, chicken nuggets, Daddy. Yeah, Chick-fil-A. They don't even know any other restaurants. Chick-fil-A is all they got. It's all they ever need. It's all they ever will need, all right? But me, being here on Wednesday nights all the time, I haven't even taught you guys in over a month. It's been 2 months since I've taught you guys, but you guys remember and you know that I love what? Chick-fil-A. Yeah, I love Chick-fil-A. Now, I am influencing you to the fact, the truth, that Chick-fil-A is by far the greatest chicken establishment, all right? Now, when you're hanging out with your friends and they say, yo, Will, where are we going to go eat lunch today? And Will says, you know what? You know what? It isn't Sunday. The Chick-fil-A honors the Lord. They're closed on Sundays. Today is Saturday, and you're hanging out with your friends, and Will says, bro, let's go to Chick-fil-A. And now Will has automatically earned status points because his friends are like, Will, you're the wisest guy I know. You're telling us to go to Chick-fil-A. So I have influenced Will of the truth that Chick-fil-A is good. It is great. It is the best. And now Will has influenced his friends to go eat at where? Chick-fil-A. Do you see? Yeah, if they eat at McDonald's, we got a big problem, all right? That is the truth. So before we can get into that position where we convince our friends of the truth and where they're going to eat lunch, I'm obviously using that as a metaphor, we have to first realize, what is it that is telling me where to eat lunch? What is it that influences me? And that is what I want to talk to you guys about tonight. Now listen, you might not think that what you watch on Netflix or Hulu, what other streaming stuff you guys watch these days? Netflix, Hulu, TikTok, all right, what else? Disney Plus. You might not think that what you watch and what you stream on TV, on your smart device in your living room or the smart device in your bedroom, you might not think that what you watch influences you, but it does. It numbs you to things like profanity and sex and drugs. You might not think that your friends on your sports team or the friends that you hang out with or the friends that are sitting in your row right now influence you, but they do. They influence you. They make you think about, what is it that I'm going to do today? What sport am I going to play? What restaurant am I going to go eat at? You might not think that the apps on your phone like TikTok and Instagram influence you, but they do. They influence you. They make you think a certain way, and it's just the reality of it. I'm not saying to delete the apps. At some point you might have to. I have them on my phone. But the reality is we have to understand that they influence us, that they make us think a certain way. They make us understand life in a certain reality. And so I want us to kind of take that apart, to kind of peel the layers off the onion and figure out what is it that is really influencing us. And there's a story in the Bible about this. When I was thinking through this kind of idea of influence, I remember it was like 7 or 8 years ago, I taught a lesson on these two guys. And I remember, man, this is just a cut and dry reality of how influence can play out in our life. And it is a story of this dude, Abram and Lot. Everybody say Abram, and everybody say Lot. I don't know if you caught about Lot. We were talking about him in that intro video earlier with our biblical jokes, all right? Let's look at this story. It comes from Genesis chapter 13. It says, so Abram went up from Egypt, he and his wife and all that he had, and who? Lot with him into the Negev. Now Abram was very rich in livestock and silver and in gold. He was rolling in the dough. And he journeyed on from Negev as far as Bethel to the place where his tent had been at the beginning, between Bethel and Ai, to the place where he had made an altar at the first. And there, Abram did what? Yeah, he called upon the name of the Lord, all right? That is what Abram did. So here we see Abram, and he is leaving Egypt. He's going back to the beginning where all things start. Maybe you guys have heard of this dude in the Old Testament. His name was Abraham. How many of you guys ever heard of him? All right, so this is the same guy. And later on, God changes his name to Abraham, but currently it is just Abram. This is before God made his promise to him. And so he's going there. And Abram is like this Old Testament superhero. Maybe you've heard stories about Abram or Abraham. He's like the guy, all right? He's what the Hebrew nation came out of, ultimately where the Israelites came out of. He's like the dude. And that's who we're looking at. And Lot, his nephew, was with him at this time. Now, if we have to think about people who can be a good influence to us, we have the guy that God chose to start the nation of his people, Abraham, all right? He's very high up on the list of people we would want to influence, that would be a good influence to us. And so Abram is going back to the beginning, and he goes there, and this is a place where he made an altar. This is a place where now he's going to call upon the name of the Lord. So Abram is setting a good example for his wife, for his nephew, for everyone else that's with him and his family. He's obviously got a lot of people with him kind of traveling in this caravan. He's trying to be a good influence to them. He's trying to tell them that Yahweh God is important, and I'm going to be dependent on him. I'm going to call out to him. He is holy. He is good. That is what Abraham is trying to do for the people that are with him, especially Lot. Let's look and see what Lot does. It says, and Lot, who went with Abram, also had flocks and herds and tents, so that the land could not support both of them dwelling together. For their possessions were so great that they could not dwell together. And there was strife between the herdsmen of Abram's livestock and the herdsmen of Lot's livestock. And at that time, the Canaanites and the Perizzites were dwelling in the land. So Lot had a bunch of stuff. Abram had a bunch of stuff. And all of their animals kept reproducing. They had so much stuff, they couldn't even be around each other because it was causing so many problems. And so they decide that they're going to split ways. It says, Abram said to Lot, let there be no strife between you and me, between your herdsmen and my herdsmen, for we are kinsmen, we are family. Is not the whole land before you? Separate yourself from me, and if you take the left hand, then I will go to the right. And if you take the right hand, I will go to the left. Got to figure out which one's my right and left. So Abram, what he does is says, hey, you know what? There's a lot of land before us. There's a lot of land here. Let's separate. Lot, if you want to go this way, if you think that's what's best for you, then I'll go the other way. If you think that way is good for you, then I'll go the other way. Whatever you want, Lot. He gave Lot the choice, the option to pick what it is. And so Lot lifted up his eyes, and he saw the Jordan Valley was well watered everywhere, like the garden of the Lord, like the land of Egypt in the direction of Zoar. So Lot chose for himself the Jordan Valley, and Lot journeyed east. So it says Lot looked. He looked out above the land. How many of you guys have seen some beautiful sunsets recently with the weather coming out? Yeah, you can look out, and it's just beautiful. It's gorgeous, right? And he let his eyes dictate his actions. Can I give you guys some advice? When we let our eyes and the things that we see be the main motivator for the choices and the actions that we make, we're probably not doing it right. Lot, when he saw the Jordan Valley, he was like, man, that is beautiful. That's where I want to go. I want to go to the beautiful place, to the place that's beautiful. Can I give you some relationship advice? Now, I'm hoping that as middle schoolers, you're like, you know what, I'm not going to date yet. I'm going to give it a few more years, some time. But I know that some of you are beyond that. You're like, no, Alan, I'm dating. I'm in a serious relationship right now, okay? Whatever, all right? So, ladies, there's that guy that you're looking at. Middle school guys maybe don't fall into this category, but you might look at that guy, and you're like, man, that guy is scrumptious. That guy is beautiful. That guy is good looking. He's got fresh breath. He says all the right things. He buys me Starbucks. He does so good. Man, that guy is beautiful. Guys, look at me. Look at me, guys. You're looking at that girl. She might be in this room tonight, all right? You're looking at that girl at school, on Instagram, wherever. You're looking at that girl and you say, man, she is beautiful. She is fine. All of the guys know that, man, she is good looking. You see how many likes she gets on Instagram. You see how all the guys are turning heads, right? You see that, man, she is beautiful. Can I tell you, just because something is beautiful does not mean it's the right choice. Does not mean it's worth pursuing or worth going after. If you really want some relationship advice, look at how that person that you think is attractive, look at how they treat their parents. Look at how that girl talks to her dad and respects to her dad. Look at how that guy honors the rules of his parents and respects his parents. Look at how that person that you're attracted to responds in conflict. Do they get all bent out of shape, or are they, you know what, I'm going to trust in the Lord. I'm going to trust in God that no matter what, it's going to be okay. Look at how that person forgives other people. As you grow older and as you begin to be interested in dating, think about those things. Whenever someone is beautiful, that's a good thing. God has created us to be beautiful, but don't let our eyes motivate and dictate our actions. Don't let beauty be the only thing that leads you in attraction to something else, to anything really. All right? So that's what Lot did. He looked up, he saw that this was beautiful, and he chose the Jordan Valley. So this is what it says. It says they separated from each other. Abram settled in the land of Canaan, which turns out is this really important piece of land that we find later on in the Bible. And while Lot settled among the cities of the valley. Now that doesn't sound too bad, right? He's in the cities of the valley. And this is where things get problematic. And Lot moved his tent as far as where? Sodom. Now the men of Sodom were wicked, great sinners against the Lord. Lot put himself in a position to be influenced by men who were great sinners, wicked against the Lord, it says. That is what Lot put himself in the position. So when he looked over the Jordan Valley, he did not think, oh man, if I go move my tent all the way over here, the main influencers in my life are going to be people who hate God. He didn't think about that. He said, you know what? The Jordan Valley is beautiful, and that's where I want to settle. All right, so that's where Lot is. Everybody say, this doesn't look very good. That's pretty quick. That was quick on the draw there. I remember a time in high school where I said this phrase to myself. All right, this doesn't look very good. So when I was in high school, I went to a really small high school for most of my high school years. And it was a small Christian school. Let's see, I was a freshman, all right? I know none of you are freshmen in here, but some of you who are soon to be freshmen, all right? I was a freshman, and I thought that it would be really awesome and cool if I played a prank on one of the senior girls, all right? This is a great idea. It was a great idea. Now, when I was in school, I was in school like 10 years ago. So when I was in school, we weren't allowed to have our cell phones, all right? We didn't have fancy iPhones in. We had the straight up flip phone, razor, brick phones, all right? And we weren't allowed to have them in school. It was totally against the rules. If you had your phone in school and you got caught, then it would get taken. And sometimes they would keep it for a week before you could even get it back. Could you imagine going a week without your phone? Oh my God, I would die, all right? That's just how it was. It was a different time, all right? And so we were doing this science experiment out in the parking lot of our school. The whole high school was out there, all like 60 of us, all right? And one of the senior girls goes running through the parking lot, and out of her pocket falls her phone. And I was like, bro, she's not supposed to have her phone. Let's play a prank. Let's take her phone. So we pick up her phone. We pocket it. And all throughout the day, we're kind of passing the phone around between people. It was funny. It was a joke. We were not going to steal her phone. We were just going to ha, you're going to get in trouble because you got your phone, and you're not supposed to have your phone. And it was funny, all right? And then the principal comes upstairs to our high school. Our high school was on the second floor of our school building. And she comes upstairs, and she says, hey, stealing is bad. You're not supposed to steal. And I know somebody in here has stolen something that doesn't belong to them. All right? And I was like, yeah, I did. And it was funny. It was a joke. And then they narrowed it down that either me or one other person had the phone. All right? And they said if I didn't give up the phone or give up the person who had the phone, then I was going to get suspended from school. And I was like, dang, this doesn't look very good. All right? That's when I said that to myself. And so I was like, okay, we played a prank. It was funny. I stole the phone, and I didn't even have the phone at the time. I had actually thrown it in the back of one of our classrooms in our high school and just figured somebody would find it, and it would be funny. Ha ha, big joke. It wasn't funny. Anyway, so I had to go into that classroom, which just happened to be the classroom that our senior class was in, and I had to go to the back of the room, and I had to take the phone, and I had to give it to the girl that we had taken it from, and I had to apologize to her, all right? I know, it was super embarrassing. I just want to point out, I never ratted out my friends, all right, I took the grunt of the punishment. But in my mind, I was thinking, this is stupid. Like, what would influence me? What would motivate me to get into so much trouble for a joke, for a prank, for something that honestly was just really dumb? Have you guys ever done something really dumb, and then after the fact, you were like, what in the world influenced me to do that? That is where I was. What influenced me to make such a bad choice, a bad decision? All right? That is what influence does to us. It motivates us to make these decisions that we don't even want to make. And so as I've been trying to wrap my head around influence and what is it, 4 things have come up to me, all right? 4 things I've just kept coming up over and over. We can look at these through the lens of Abram and Lot. You can look at them through the lens of me and my stupid choices from the past. You can look at them through your own life, all right? 4 things. The first one is I've already talked about. We have to recognize what is it that influences us. Think about that. What are the things that influence you, that motivate you, that make you think the way that you think and do the things that you do? Is it your friends? Is it what you see on social media? Is it what you watch on television? Is it what your parents tell you to do? Is it what you read in the Bible? What is it that influences you, that causes you to do and think the way that you do? How many of you guys have ever heard of the phrase DUI? You guys ever heard of that 3 letter? What does it mean? What's a DUI? Somebody tell me what a DUI is? Say it again. Yeah, drunk driving. It actually stands for driving under the what? The influence. Now, typically, we think of that as driving under the influence of alcohol. You can get a DUI for driving under the influence of other kinds of drugs too. My brother, who's had a long struggle with alcohol, he has gotten pulled over for a couple of DUIs, gotten arrested for it. I grew up with a stepdad who was like a raging alcoholic, and he would get drunk, and it was so obvious that when I come home from school or when I got home from work and my stepdad was like crazy whack, I was like, oh man, Tim's been drinking tonight. It's going to be one of those nights. I actually have some crazy stories that I will not share on this stage, but my stepdad was under the influence of alcohol all the time. I can remember actually driving down the road, and my stepdad is drinking as we're driving down the highway, and he said, boy, don't tell your mom, all right? Like, alcohol has had a terrible influence on my life. And when you look at somebody, how many of you guys have ever seen somebody who's drunk? When you look at them and you see them drunk, you say, man, that person is drunk. They're under the influence of alcohol. When you see somebody be angry and have road rage on the interstate, you don't say, man, that person is under the influence of what? Yeah, no, not alcohol. They're just flipping the bird to somebody on the interstate. When you see somebody on your sports team get fouled or just lose it on the court or on the field, we don't automatically, it doesn't click to us, hey, that person's under the influence of what? Yeah, no, it's not alcohol, okay? If on your middle school sports team, your teammates are under the influence of alcohol, we have a big problem, okay? This is what I'm getting at. When we sin, when we make a choice that we look back and say, man, that was really dumb. Why did I make that choice? It's really difficult. Listen. It's really difficult for us to pinpoint what we are under the influence of. It's hard. It's not an easy task. When you look at someone who's drunk, you say, man, alcohol, drugs. But when we mess up and when we sin and when we do something wrong, it's hard for us to pinpoint what is it that is influencing me. Here's the second one. We have to guard what we allow to influence us. We have to put up what someone explained to me this week as fences. Things that keep us from going over the boundary, things that keep us from going too far. Right now, I want you to close your eyes. Everybody close their eyes. Everybody, even if you're not taking notes. I know some of you out there like, man, can we just go play some more knockout? Close your eyes. Think to yourself, what is it that controls you or that influences you? What is it? Is it the people on your sports team? Is it the people in your house? Is it God? Is it an app? Is it what you see on social media, what you watch? Just think about that. What do you think is the main influencer in your life? Something that might help you answer that question. Where do you spend most of your time? You have more screen time than you do time at school? Yeah, probably so. All right, where do you spend your time? That thing that you spend most of your time on that is the primary influence, you still got your eyes closed. That thing will control you. It will determine to you what your actions and what your choices and what your thoughts are going to be. You can open your eyes. How many of you want to be controlled by that thing? How many of you say, you know what? I like that my friends influence me the most. I like that the things that I see on TV or the things that I listen to on Spotify, the app that I just can't put down. I like that controls me and that causes me to do the things that I do. I don't think that many of us would. And so we put up these guardrails, these things, and I do the same thing. I say, you know what? 30 minutes of screen time a day. That's what I get. 30 minutes, an hour maybe you say. Maybe say, you know what? The people on my sports team are really bad influences to me. And so maybe you say, you know what? I'm not going to play that sport this year. Or you say something like, all right, I'm going to surround myself by all the Christian people on my team so that we can be better influencers to the people around us. Like you find guardrails. You put up these things that try and help you to be influenced by things that are good. All right? Sometimes, even when we put up those guardrails, we just have to know when to turn around. When to say, you know what? I have tried so hard to not look at porn on my phone, but I just can't. And so, you know what? There's no more guardrails I'm putting in place. I'm going to go tell my mom and my dad that I can't handle it, and I'm going to give them my phone. You said, you know what? I have tried so hard to not let the people on my sports team influence me, but I've tried so hard I can't do it. I'm not going to play whatever sport that is. I'm not going to be able to be around these people because the peer pressure is too much. I keep giving in over and over. We put up guardrails. We try to put fences, but ultimately we have to at some point know it's too far. I've gone too far. I've done too much. There's no guardrail I can put in place right now other than just turn around, to give up on whatever that is. Because ultimately, the fourth point is that we have to be influenced. We have to. It's by default. We will be influenced by the things that we surround ourselves with. Whether that is the people we hang out with, the way that we obey and listen to our parents, the movies that we watch, the things that we listen to on Spotify. I don't know if you listen to podcasts, the podcasts you listen to. I could ramble off thing over thing over thing. You will be influenced. And if you say, you know what, Alan, I sit in my basement and I don't listen to anything, I don't watch anything, I don't do anything, I don't have any friends, I don't even know why I'm here right now because I don't even want to be around people, I'm not influenced by anything. You will end up being influenced by yourself. You will tell yourself, this is what I want to do. These are the decisions that I'm going to make. This is what I'm choosing to think. You will be influenced, I promise you. No matter what you do in life, there will be things around you that surround you that influence you. And I hope and I pray that the thing that you allow to be your primary influence in life is not a Netflix series, is not what you hear at school, is not what you listen to. In some ways, it's not even what your parents say. I hope that your primary influence in life is God, is the Bible. Alex just led us, and Pastor Austin, they just led us through a series called Habits of Grace, where we learned about what it means to read our Bible, to pray, to have fellowship with other Christians, to serve our church. Those are the primary ways that you ought to be influenced. And if you've got more screen time than you do time in the Word, it's problematic. Because ultimately, where you spend your time and where you invest, that is where you're going to be influenced by. It just is. That's just the way that it is. All right? So I hope that your primary influence will be that of God. As Christians, we have this lingo. Have you guys ever Christianese words that only Christian people use, like bless your heart, or I'm not even going to go into it. All right? There's tons of Christian lingo, okay? We use this phrase, and we sang it in church a couple weeks ago. This phrase, all hail King Jesus, all right? King Jesus. How many of you guys have ever heard or seen or talked about that phrase, King Jesus? Now, what that means is that as Christians, we have said Jesus is our King. Kanye wrote an album on it, all right? Jesus is our King. He sits on the throne of our lives. He is the one who tells us what to do. He is the one who is our primary influencer. Talk about a blue check mark beside his name, okay? He is the one who influences us the most, above everything else. He is our King. That is my hope and my prayer for you, that Jesus and His Word and your prayer life and your fellowship with other believers and your service to the church, those things would create a lifestyle where the thing that influences you far beyond social media or what you watch or what you listen to or who you hang out with, that it would be Jesus, that would be the thing that influences you the most. Listen, I want you guys to discuss this. I want you to sit in a circle with your friends and talk about what does it mean to be influenced. I want you to break out into groups of 6 to 8 people and circle up, and I want you to talk about these things. There'll be a few questions on the screen for you, all right? All right. Hey, hopefully you had some time to discuss those questions. I hope so, that you're able to kind of process that a little bit. Now listen, the things that I am telling you, the 4 kind of principles from tonight. Hey, Vari, be quiet. The things that I've gave you tonight are hopefully advice to you. Things that you'll say, you know what Alan said is good. I want to try and go by that, live by that. If Lot, in our Lot and Abram's story, if Lot had listened to what I had said, he would have recognized, you know what, if I go live by Sodom, they're going to influence me. I'm going to have to set up some guardrails, some fences to know that I don't want to be influenced by them. At some point in Lot's life, he would have had to say, you know what, I got to let God, as Abram example to me, be my primary influencer, all right? You might look at the story and say, Alan, but Lot just moved over by Sodom. It wasn't even that bad. How can that be so bad? He just lived beside a place that wasn't good. Do you want to know what ended up happening to Lot? Nobody wants to know. All right. I'm going to give you the PG version because it's pretty gruesome, okay? Lot was in this scenario. He was living in Sodom, all right? He was living in the city. He took his tent, he moved it on inside. He was living there, and some guys were going to beat him up, basically. And he's like, you know what? Don't beat me up. Here's my 2 daughters. You can just have them and do whatever you want to do with them. Yeah, I know. This was not looking good for Lot. That's not even the worst part, okay? Later on, he ends up getting run out of the city. His wife ends up dying. He goes and he lives in a cave, him and his 2 daughters, all right? And they end up together creating 2 of the worst nations that were problematic for the Israelites. I'll let you put the pieces together there, okay? Lot's life was changed by his decision to go and move into the Jordan Valley. My hope is that I've caught you in a moment before you've made all of those wrong decisions. And if you have, that's okay. There's still a chance for you to put up those guardrails to turn around. But my hope is that even now, at a young age, that you begin to let God be your primary influencer. That you don't allow the things around you, your circumstances, your environment, to influence you more than the God who has created you and the one who wants a relationship with you. That's my hope. That's my advice for you, all right? Let me pray for you guys really quick. God, thank you for for influencing us, for giving us your word, for giving us the opportunity to even pray to you now. Lord, help us be people who seek you first. That before we go to Google and social media and our friends, that God, when we need advice, when we need truth, that we would go to you, that we go to your word. Help us to do that. Help us to be people who are founded on the truths of God. Help us to be those people. We pray it all in Jesus' name. Amen.